Take a minute first to read the question. So this is about the age at onset of anorexia. So 11 to 12, if someone's between 11 and 12, then you would call them 11-year-olds. Between 12 and 13, it's a 13-year-old, and so on. Now, the total number of Canadian girls in this study, it's 691. So N, the sample size, is 691. Now, for a problem like this, first make sure that you have a rough estimate of the heights of the bars. So this is a histogram. So the x-axis gives the age at the onset of anorexia. So age is in years. So it's either 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, up to 17 years of age. And the height of the bar is the number of girls in that particular age group. So for example, the first bar, you could say, is of height 40. Roughly. So that's height 40, which means that there were 40 girls of age 11 at the onset of anorexia. The second bar is 12 to 13. The rough height, I would say, is about 70, and that would be 70 girls of age 12 at onset of anorexia, and so on. So now this is about 160. Next is 14 to 15, it's about 150. 15 to 16, 160. 16 to 17 is 100, and 10 girls age 17 at onset of anorexia. Now when you add all these numbers up, it'll roughly be 691. May not be exact. These are just estimates, the heights of the bars, but it has to be pretty close to 691. So if the question says, what does the third bar in the histogram represent? So your answer would be, the third bar in the histogram tells us that there were 160 girls that were 13 years at onset of anorexia, 13 years old at the onset of anorexia. So the next question is, what is the median of this data set? So how do we find the median? We know that the total number of girls is 691, right? So if we have to figure out the median, we do it in two steps. First, we figure out the rank or position of the median. Median is the middle number, right? So we first find the rank. Remember that 691 is an odd number. So there is one middle number. If there's an odd number of numbers in the data set, then there is one middle number. And how do we get that middle number? 691 is an odd number. Add 1 to make it even, and then only divide by 2. So position or rank has to be a whole number, right? So we got to add 1 and then divide by 2. So that becomes the 346th number. So if you're going to say it's the 345.5th number, it doesn't make sense, because position or rank is counted in whole numbers. So it's the first or the second or the third or the fourth, and so on. So it has to be a whole number. And that's why we add 1, divide by 2 to locate the middle number. The middle number is the 346th number. Now we need to figure out what exactly the 346th number is. So that, again, we need to understand the histogram. So the first 40 numbers in the histogram are ages 11. So if you think of it, it would look like a long list of 11s, a 40 11-year-olds. So in your raw data set, you'll have 40 11s. And then the next 70 numbers will be 12. So it'll be 12, 12, 12, and there'll be 70 12s. So 40 plus 70 is 110. So the first 110 numbers are either 11s or 12s. Remember, we have to locate the 346th number, 346th number. So we add 160, which means we're looking at the first. So I'm adding 160 to this. So there would be 270. So the first 270 numbers are either 11s, 12s, or 13s. Now, when I add 150, there are 150 numbers in the next bar. That becomes 420, which exceeds 346 because we are looking for the 346th number. So let's say the 35th number is an 11 because it sits in this bar. If I want to find the 115th number, it's definitely not in the first two bars because the first two bars add up to 110 people, and that is either 11-year-olds or 12-year-olds. So the 115th number will be in the third bar, which is from 13 to 14, which is 13-year-olds, right? So the 346th number sits in this bar, which is the fourth bar. It cannot be in the third bar because there are 270 people included in the first three bars, that is 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. The next bar contains the 346th number, and the 346th number is 14. So 14 years is the median. Remember, the data set is age in years at the onset of anorexia. So your median is the age in years, and it sits in the fourth bar. So the median is 14 years. So now if we had to find the first quartile, the first quartile would be the median of the data set to the left of the median. So 346th number is the median, and we know that the number is 14. Now we are looking at all the numbers on the left. Remember, the data set is split into two equal parts with the median, right? So there are 345 numbers on the left and 345 numbers on the right. So the middle number of the left side will then be the first quartile. So we need to find the middle number of the left side. So if there are 345 numbers, 345 is odd. So there is exactly one middle number, and that's equal to 345 plus 1. So we add 1 and then divide by 2. So that is 346 divided by 2. So 2 1s are 2, 2 7s are 14, 2 3s are 6. It's the 173rd number. Remember, it cannot be the first 40 numbers, right? We're looking for the 173rd number. So the first 40 numbers are 11s. The next 70 numbers are 12s, right? So the first 110 numbers are either 11s or 12s. We're looking for the 173rd number. So if we add 160, it goes up to 270. So we know that the 173rd number sits in the third bar. And the third bar is 13 to 14, which is 13-year-olds. So your Q1 is 13. And similarly, we can find Q3, which is the 173rd number after, like we start counting. If this is the median, we start here and start counting 173 numbers from then. So we just go, the 346th number is the median, add 173 to it, and that gives us 519. So that tells us that the 519th number is the Q3, the third quartile. So the 519th number is 15. We count exactly the way we did before. So when we count the numbers in the first 4 bars, it is 420. And then when we add 160 to it, it becomes 580, which exceeds 519. So the 519th number sits in the 5th bar, and it is 15 years. So median is 14 years, Q1 is 13 years, and then Q3, which is the upper quartile, is 15 years.